Have you ever wondered if you must have broken a mirror, walked under a ladder, or maybe even if today is Friday the 13th? All, of course, are superstitions of bad luck, but sometimes it seems that life is just going all wrong and the writing is on the walls. I'd like to tell you about a day that I had several years ago. We left Florida that morning, headed for a small little town outside of Atlanta, Georgia. My husband works on the pipeline, so we travel a lot for work. Nothing really stands out in my mind about that day going wrong to start with, but boy did it take a turn for the worst. It was the day of the Talladega NASCAR race, so traffic was pretty heavy, but it was moving along well. My husband was in front of me pulling our fifth wheel camper, and I was following behind him going down the 4-lane. All of a sudden, I see my husband's brake lights on the camper, so I started slowing down myself. It didn't take me long to see that he was braking heavily, so I did so also, when all of a sudden, he goes toward the concrete barrier to try to avoid the vehicle in front of him, but he clips the tail light of that vehicle. Luck has it, at the exact same time, I get rear-ended myself. I was hit so hard that it pushed me around the camper and into the vehicle that my husband had just clipped. Talk about luck. This ended up being a 16-car pileup, all because one person, for whatever reason, decided to stop in the fast lane on a 4-lane interstate. The cops came and they asked everyone to pull to the shoulder of the road, so you can imagine it was a mess. Nobody was in order in the way that the wreck happened. It was pure chaos. The guy who caused all this moved his untouched vehicle to the shoulder of the road and left out on foot, nowhere to be found. I'll remind you of our luck again. A few days later, we get the police report. The cops wrote it up that it was my husband in front and had caused the wreck, even though that we were the 9th and 10th vehicles in this. I begged them to review the report and make corrections, but no, they would not. So once all of the involved parties seen this, their story started changing, and they wanted my husband's insurance to start paying them, even though they knew that he wasn't at fault. Fast forward almost 2 years later, the guy who caused the wreck hired a lawyer and somehow got an ambulance report from that day. He wrecked his vehicle after the fact and sent pictures of that and got a hospital report. His lawyer sent me a whole ream of paper with a lawsuit. But one thing did go in our favor that day: pictures. Although all the pictures I had taken didn't convince the police to change their report or the insurance companies to go after this guy, one picture I had taken was especially special. Right before we pulled off that day, something told me to take a picture of the man's vehicle, untouched from every angle, but it also included his license plate. This one picture was our saving grace. This picture was time-stamped on my phone, so it proved without a shadow of a doubt that we did not hit him, nor did anyone else for that matter. Now, how he got an ambulance and a hospital report, I couldn't tell you that. You know, life often doesn't happen easily. But with all the bad that happened that day, we were thankful that nobody was seriously injured or killed. Material vehicles can be replaced, but people cannot. So I tell you all of this to say, even though we all know that luck isn't real, life still doesn't always go well, and it sucks sometimes. But we should still try to find the positive in it. My best advice to you is, if you're ever involved in something of this kind, take many, many pictures to prove what really happened that day.